I think we were always taught to embrace who we were. Dad always used those sort of teachings of like, this is where you came from, this is who we are. But I think that it was difficult for him as well because he doesn't know. He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know where he comes from. And I think that that element of the unknown plays more and more of a toll on him the older that he gets. But I think when we were younger, we didn't really understand the gravity of the situation. I mean, Dad was just Dad. I don't think we even knew the story until we were much, much, much older.
I remember that she packed up some clothes and we went into town because that was something that I always loved to do with my mom. And we went into town and we would always get food and played in the park and different things like that. And I remember her going into town with me. And at that time, she thought, oh, you should come see this building. And I remember her bringing me to this building, and all I remember was this white gate. And we met some people at the gate, and she said, well, why don't you go in and see what it looks like? And I went in, and all I remember was the gate closed. I was not allowed to leave. And my mom came a few times to talk to me through the gate, probably about 2 to 3 times, and then I didn't see her anymore. And so it was kind of disheartening, I guess, now, I guess looking back at it. We were all put into our clothes and our sandals, and we all were put into a bus. And we were taken to the airport, and I remember us being on the tarmac. It was only about 20 days before the fall of Saigon had occurred, so there was sound of artillery everywhere. So it was something that I think all of us kids, after a while, it just became white noise. Is that we heard explosions here and there, and we hear helicopters and jet planes. With our age, I don't think we really had the full effect of what we were in the middle of. But I remember sitting on the tarmac for a few hours. On my flight, there was only about 106 to 109 kids above the age of 6, and the rest were infants. So I remember it being hot, and the kids were getting fussy. I remember seeing these huge planes come in, and I remember them rushing us on as quickly as we can. It's hard to say because at that time you don't really think of time, but it wasn't very long. It wasn't very long before we were told that we were taking off. I remember the anxiety of just saying, okay, what is this that I'm in and why am I leaving? And again, I think it kind of brings back that, okay, I was taken out of my house, and then all of a sudden, I'm now taken away from my country, going somewhere that I have no idea where I'm going. I want to show you a picture. No, that's not the right picture. I'll show you a picture here. So this is me. This is the few drawings that I had when I came first to the United States was a jet plane and a helicopter, because that's all I knew. And the math. And so I think people who don't make the wine never appreciates the process, that it's just a time-consuming process that just takes forever. Okay. Put him out. Put it down. This in here. This process is called cold racking. So overnight, tonight it'll probably be in its 40s. And the colder it is, the more the solids will settle down to the bottom. And that's how they do for like beer and other wines when you clear it. So the colder it is, the more it settles. And so you wait for about a week, and then you do this process again. Then the bottle process starts. And then you process you filter it, and then you bottle, and then you get yourself your wine.
One of the most vivid things I think that he's ever told me is how they would walk between the buildings hand in hand, and like artillery would be flying over, just horrendous conditions for any human being to be in. I mean, he could have died at any moment. And to like sort of envision my 6-year-old, maybe 8-year-old father walking between buildings and bombs flying over his head is something that sticks with me a lot. I think whoever that woman was that picked him up in the hospital, she didn't have to do that. But she must have seen something that nobody else did. And I think it's sort of our mission to make that worth it for her. Because, I mean, we'll never know who she is. We'll never know where she is. We don't know if she's alive. We have no idea. But I think that just to give that component of like honor to those people that helped us get here.
I would love to tell her, you know what? Thank you. Because you could have easily aborted me just like any other child during this war. Thank you for holding on to me. Thank you for carrying me. Thank you for putting me in a safe place and allowing me to be picked up and to be cared for. And thank you for walking away. I'd love to find her. I'd love to find her. I don't know how I do it, but I'd love to just live with this hero image of who she is. And I think to this point, I'm happy and I'm satisfied. So, sorry.
This is so enjoyable. Just kind of from the beginning to the end, and then to me it's fun. I think some people think this is labor intensive, which it is, but it's always nice to see the final product, and you see that people enjoy it, and it's great to be able to share what you have and kind of your passion for it. I really enjoy doing it. I look forward to it every year. I go out, and especially in the spring, to see the blooming, and then listen for the bees. You look forward. You kind of get disappointed if you don't get it, because then you got to figure out what to do for that season. Because apples skip every other year or every 2 years. So they don't produce every year, especially depending on the species of the apples. And so it's been really good so far for the last 2 years. The year prior to that, we didn't really have a crop, so I wasn't able to make any more wine. But if I can get the process of pears and everything, if I can get my hands on some pears, I'll start making other fruits, that is available during the season. So